we're going to take you into another bad and dirty cop at Duncanville Police Department. This is Sergeant Dirk Michael Younts. Look at this monster. Eyeballing. Yes, I said eyeballing. At Texas Gal Audits because she verbally challenged him as she was trying to conduct business and exercising her First Amendment right. Let's get into Texas Gal's encounter with Sergeant Dirk Younts, and then afterwards we will go ahead and get into his disciplinary record because this video is important. Let's get into this video.
A contract with the post office to be in here with the arm?
Yeah,
good?
I do.
Okay, great.
Today?
I'm just here to make a purchase.
Why are you recording?
Because I have the right to, the First Amendment of press.
Okay, cool.
That's it. What's your name and badge number?
It's right here.
Okay, but right here is not your name.
Okay. Do y'all want to give her business? Okay.
They don't have the option. This is a, no, this is not a
You
Walmart.
can still, we have criminal.
For what reason? Well, but it has to be, no, it does. It does. So are you
Hey, stop. We can do this real easy.
right? Or we can make this real hard on yourself.
No.
Don't make me take away your qualified
Don't make me do
immunity.
anything. Okay.
Okay, no, it
I'm
said
outside with
don't
us.
make
Causing a
me,
scene.
don't make me take
Ma'am.
away your qualified
Ma'am,
immunity.
let's go outside. Come on.
Sir, don't grab me. Don't touch me. You don't have the right.
They
Take on
want
a
you
leash,
gone.
sir,
If you
or
don't-
I'm going to have to fine you.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty dog!
They want you gone. If you don't leave,
They
I'm
don't
going
have the right
arrest
to
you.
tell me to go because I'm not doing anything illegal.
If you don't leave, I'm
Get
going
your
to take
supervisor.
you. I'm the
Get
supervisor.
your-
I'm the supervisor.
Get your lieutenant.
He's not here today.
Well, there's someone on the clock.
It's not a big deal, Chief Stoner's on the clock, he keeps it real. Texas gal, she's on a steady grind, asking for a supervisor, never mind. Sergeant Hunt's trying to keep it cool, while Texas gal audits following the rules. Backups coming on in from afar, Chief Stoner's the star in his police car. 9 to 5, got the whole town feeling alive. Chief's on duty, making sure that we thrive. Texas gal, she's got the camera's eye, bringing truth to light on the Texas sky. 9 to 5, got the whole town feeling alive.
Yes, yes, sir. Okay. Here, take this off.
Here to make a purchase at a public building and getting trespassed.
45, you're keyed up. Ma'am.
So everybody call the Duncanville police
Yes, sir.
and let them know I'm being trespassed for no reason.
Okay. Maybe go around, okay?
He obviously doesn't understand how trespass works in public buildings.
Okay, just sit right here. Up. 45, you're keyed up. Okay, whoever this you. Key up, baby? Okay. In the car, thank you.
So everybody call the Duncanville police station in Texas.
In the parking lot.
Yes, just, no, y'all can pass her. Excuse me, ma'am, you're stopping my line.
Somebody's
Could I
coming,
get
okay?
you just move down to the side?
You just rearrange that for yourself?
Thank you.
I'm not going to attack nobody.
Can I get you to step at the end of the
No,
line?
sir. No, ma'am. I am in my free
Are you
space.
waiting?
No, you're not.
Can I get you
Get
to
out of
be
line.
right in front
Come
of
talk to me.
She's holding up the.
I will talk to you right here.
Okay, then
But
stop
this is
yelling.
where I will talk to you. I'll stand out of their line, but I'll talk to you right here.
Okay, great.
And this is Miss Tracy. Y'all remember her.
Emergency 45, I don't know what was going on, but after my ribs was coming down, I wasn't able to use my handheld.
Hey, Manning, are you good?
Roger, I got that one, Deep Throat. The eagle has landed. Tweety is out of his cage.
So anyways, he's going to sit here and act like he's going to play on his walkie-talkie.
Sorry, I didn't see you.
Unfortunately, I don't have the authority to detain you at this moment. But I promise you, mister, one day it'll be just you and me. And then, boom! Death touch. Would Woodchuck the gray squirrel, Woodchuck the gray squirrel. Evil plan aborted. Tweety is back in his cage. Sylvester once again has been thwarted. Judging by the length of my shadow, it is about 1800 hours, which means it's time for cherub chow. So get those ding-dongs ready. I'm coming.
Keep throwing it out. I can't use it. I can't use the handheld, and I'm not in the car.
Yeah, go in private if you want to have a private conversation.
Man, there's other emergencies going on in the city.
Then go handle those. I didn't ask you to stop here. Okay, then handle that. If you need to stay here, then stay here. If you don't, then go. Go handle the things you need to go handle.
I'm handling it.
Then don't ask me what to handle or not handle.
Hey, Green, I'll take you one of the things.
Recording. What? Recording? Yes. Okay. She's not wanting to leave. They're wanting her to leave. Okay. And that's it.
So tell me what legal reason you have to trespass me from a public building.
They don't want you here.
That is not a legal reason. I am press. I am press. I am in a government building doing the news.
Do you have ID?
So where do you get ID for press? Everyone is press. The freedom of press.
They don't want you
Sir,
here.
you're
This is
not
a
going to
public place.
trespass me unless you want your
We'll go to jail. Put
you want your
hands on
qualified immunity taken? That's fine.
Here we have Sergeant Younts' first complaint from the Duncanville Police Department. It's a written letter of reprimand and documented training, and this is dated January 19th, 2011. It reads, on or about October 15th of 2010, you were involved in a use of force incident at 522 Thrush Avenue in Duncanville, Texas. Duncanville Police Department Regulation 5.32 requires that officers who are involved in a use of force incident submit a report specifying all facts and circumstances of the incident as soon as possible. More specifically, Duncanville Police Department Regulation 5.32 states, unless injury prevents it, before the end of the employee's shift, a use of force report will be submitted by each employee who applies force through the use of active means or deadly force. You failed to follow these established guidelines. It is important that all use of force incidents be properly reported and reviewed as soon as practical. In the future, failure to follow these established guidelines may result in more severe disciplinary action. This is his second written letter of reprimand. We have dated on September 17th, 2019. On June 14th, 2019, Officer Christian Pinella conducted a traffic stop in the 6900 block of Summit Park Drive in Dallas, Texas. Officer Pinella observed the motorist commit a traffic violation on North Clark Road in Duncanville, Texas. The motorist stopped the vehicle on Summit Park Drive, which is a short distance from the offense location. As Officer Pinella approached the stopped vehicle, he smelled an odor of marijuana emitting from the stopped vehicle. Once Officer Pinella reached the driver's front door area of the stopped vehicle, he observed the first of two handguns in a dashboard compartment. Officer Pinella reached inside the vehicle to secure the first handgun. Officer Pinella asked the motorist if any additional guns were in the vehicle and was told yes. A second handgun was located in the front driver's side door compartment. It appeared ammunition was chambered in both handguns. Officer Pinella made the decision to arrest the motorist and attempted to handcuff him. Officer Pinella applied a quote-unquote wrist lock to the motorist's wrist as he was attempting to handcuff him. The motorist resisted and rapidly fled the scene. In the previously stopped vehicle with one handcuff on. Officers were unable to locate the motorist. Later, the motorist turned himself into the Duncanville Police Department. Officer Pinella committed several safety violations during this incident. The safety violations will be outlined in a separate written reprimand addressed to Officer Pinella. This matter was investigated by Internal Affairs Investigator Sergeant Christopher Fries. The findings of this investigation resulted in various classifications. One or more allegations were unfounded, one or more allegations were sustained, and one or more violations not related to initial complaint were discovered. Unfounded means the allegation is proven false or did not occur. Sustained means that the allegation is supported by sufficient evidence. Violation not related to initial complaint means a sustained act of misconduct not related to the initial complaint. It was discovered that you failed to ensure Officer Pinella complete a use of force report prior to the end of his shift. As required by Duncanville Police Department Regulation 5.32, you reviewed recordings of the traffic stop conducted by Officer Pinella and observed that he applied, quote-unquote, a wrist lock on motor vehicle during the stop. While you did notice the document safety violations committed by Officer Pinella, you failed to ensure Officer Pinella's use of force was reported as required by policy. Per Duncanville Police Department Regulation 4.01, you were given an option of choosing your chain of command or a disciplinary review board to make the disciplinary recommendation in this matter. You elected to have a disciplinary review board make the disciplinary recommendation. The disciplinary review board unanimously recommended a 2-day suspension. After reviewing the recommendation of the disciplinary review board, I had a personal meeting with you on Friday, September 13, 2019. The purpose of the meeting was for you to explain any extenuating circumstances surrounding the allegations made against you. During our meeting, you acknowledged that you were unclear whether Officer Pinella used force against a motorist during a traffic stop conducted on June 14, 2019. You also acknowledged that you did not direct Officer Pinella to complete a use of force report prior to the end of his shift as required by Duncanville Police Department Regulation 5.32. Lieutenant McCaleb directed Officer Pinella to complete a use of force report after viewing video recordings of the traffic stop. The video recording captured numerous officer safety concerns and the application of a quote-unquote wrist lock applied to the motorist's wrist by Officer Pinella. A quote-unquote wrist lock is a joint lock that is used to gain compliance and is clearly a use of force. The fact that the motorist stated, quote-unquote, "Bro, my arm hurts," should have been a clue to both you and Officer Pinella. Force was used and should be documented appropriately. In deciding the appropriate disciplinary action, I considered numerous factors, including but not limited to your prior disciplinary history, prior similar policy violations, your honesty, right, possible harm to Duncanville Police Department's reputation, prior disciplinary action issued to other members of the Duncanville Police Department for similar policy violations, and the disciplinary recommendations from the Disciplinary Review Board. After considering all the facts, I have rejected the recommendation of the Disciplinary Review Board. I find that the only appropriate disciplinary action is a written reprimand. Boy, is that some horse shit. What's the point of a disciplinary review board if you're not going to adhere to it? Supervisory personnel must issue clear, concise, and definite orders to their subordinates. Vague, ambiguous, and ill-defined orders and commands that cannot be executed are confusing to subordinates and prejudicial to the efficiency, good order, and the morale of department. It is my expectation that all supervisory personnel know Duncanville Police Department Regulation 5.32, use of force. Law enforcement faces innumerable challenges created by the current environment, particularly with regards to use of force. The public perception of the frequency and appropriateness of force used by the police is framed and influenced largely by the media depictions. There is a large body of case law that permits the police to use force that is reasonably necessary to overcome the force used against them. That's Connor versus Graham. The public often perceives that force as excessive when it is not. In addition, use of force is a high liability area. It is incumbent upon law enforcement agencies to ensure that officers use force appropriately and that each use of force incident is properly documented. After viewing recordings of Officer Pinella's traffic stop, I am disappointed you did not immediately identify force was used. We must provide clear and concise instructions to subordinates, which begins with a good understanding of our policies. I therefore want to caution you that if you are involved in any other sustained complaints resulting from similar circumstances, the disciplinary action may be more severe. Written reprimands are not appealable under Chapter 143 of the Texas Local Government Code. Please consider this matter closed. Now here's a suspension dated May 9, 2019. Pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 143 of the Texas Local Government Code, Section 143.052, I have temporarily suspended Sergeant Dirk Younts, badge number 185, from duty as a police sergeant of the city of Duncanville for a period of 1 day. Oh, wow. One whole day. The temporary suspension is effective on Friday, May 10, 2019. I took this action because Sergeant Younts violated Section 4.1, subsection L of the City of Duncanville Civil Service Rules and Regulations, which sets forth the grounds for disciplinary suspensions of employees in the classified service and states, Section 16, grounds for removal or suspension. The following are declared to be grounds for removal or suspension of an employee from the classified service of the City of Duncanville. L. Violation of any of the rules and regulations, standard operating procedures, and or administrative directives of the fire department and police department or of special orders as applicable or the ordinances of the City of Duncanville. By his conduct as detailed below, Sergeant Younts has also violated certain sections of the Police Department Code of Conduct and General Order 117. Sergeant Younts has received a copy of the Code of Conduct and General Order 117 and is required to have read and conduct himself by and in accordance with said Code of Conduct and General Order 117. The specific provisions which Sergeant Younts has violated are as follows. General Order 2.01, subsection 2, rules, subsection A. Every employee shall perform his duties as required or directed by 1. Law, 2. Departmental policy, procedure, or rule, 3. Any lawful order of a superior. General Order 4.01, subsection 2, rules, subsection A. Conduct unbecoming is any conduct which adversely affects the morale, operations, or efficiency of the department, or any conduct which has a tendency to adversely affect, lower, or destroy public respect and confidence in the department, or any officer or employee. Conduct unbecoming also includes any conduct which brings the department or any officer or employee into disrepute or brings discredit upon the department or any officer or employee. Officers and employees shall conduct themselves at all times, both on and off duty, in such a manner so as to reflect most favorably among the department. Duncanville Police Department Code of Conduct, Chapter 4, Subsection 2 Rules. A. Dereliction of duty on the part of any employee detrimental to the proper performance of the functions of the department is cause for corrective action. The following subsections constitute dereliction of duty. 2. Failure to observe and give effect to the policies of the department. Subsection C. No employee shall engage in any conduct which adversely affects the morale or efficiency of the department, or which has a tendency to adversely affect, lower, or destroy public respect and confidence in the department or officer. The following acts and conduct of Sergeant Younts are in violation of the above quoted sections and subsections of the City of Duncanville Civil Service Rules and Regulations. Code of Conduct and General Order 117 of this department as hereby specified. On January 24, 2019, Officer Michelle Arias was directed to report to the Duncanville Police Department Patrol Supervisor's Office by Sergeant Younts. Officer Arias is assigned to the Patrol Division, and she was sent a message by Sergeant Younts via the Mobile Data Computer, also known as the MDC. Sergeant Younts was actively investigating an external complaint against two subordinates, Officer Keith Kratz and Officer Devin Blackmore, and needed a Spanish-speaking officer to assist with translation. Officer Arias speaks fluent Spanish and assists her coworkers when Spanish translators are needed. Upon arrival to the Duncanville Police Department, Officer Arias entered the Patrol Supervisor's office. Lieutenant Chris McCaleb and Sergeant Younts were both in the office when Officer Arias entered. Sergeant Younts informed Officer Arias that he had been dispatched to meet a complainant call for police service at 1023 Mansfield Lane, and that the complainant did not speak fluent English, and a Spanish translator was needed. Sergeant Younts instructed Officer Arias to call the complainant via the sergeant's desk telephone located in the patrol supervisor's office. Officer Arias called the complainant to gather information regarding her complaint. As Officer Arias was speaking to the complainant, Officer Kratz walked into the patrol supervisor's office. Sergeant Younts and Lieutenant McCaleb began to question Officer Kravitz about his interaction with the complainant's husband, who had previously been stopped for an alleged traffic violation by Officer Kratz and Officer Blackmore earlier in the day. Officer Kratz was Officer Blackmore's field training officer, and they were riding in the same police vehicle. The complainant called the Duncanville Police Department on behalf of her husband, resulting in the investigation by Sergeant Younts. The complainant began to verbally share information about the traffic stop involving her husband and Officer Krauts and Officer Blackmore. As Officer Arias was speaking with the complainant and relaying the complaint allegations to Officer Krauts, Sergeant Younts stated something to the effect, quote unquote, "Why does it sound like she is taking her side? The complainant is a Hispanic female and Officer Arias is a Hispanic female. After considering all the facts, I find that the only appropriate disciplinary action is a temporary suspension and additional training. In addition to the 1-day temporary suspension, Sergeant Younts will be required to successfully complete Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, also known as TCOL, Cultural Diversity Course 3939, within 120 days, calendar days, from the date of the correspondence. The training course will be paid with funds from the training budget of the City of Duncanville, Texas Police Department. The training course may be completed online, or Sergeant Younts may attend the training course in person. Sergeant Younts must submit a certificate of completion to Police Administration upon successful completion of the course." That's bullshit, but okay. In the event Sergeant Younts has already completed Cultural Diversity Course 3939, he will be required to complete a Workplace Harassment Prevention Training course recommended by City of Duncanville Human Resource Director Todd Sigel or his designee. The Workplace Harassment Prevention Training course may be completed online, or Sergeant Younts may attend the training course in person. Sergeant Younts must submit a certificate of completion to Police Administration upon successful completion of the training course. After considering all the facts, I find that the only appropriate disciplinary action is a temporary suspension and additional training. In addition to the 1-day temporary suspension, Sergeant Younts will be required to successfully complete Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, also known as TCOL, Cultural Diversity Course 3939, within 120 days, calendar days, from the date of the correspondence. The training course will be paid with funds from the training budget of the City of Duncanville, Texas Police Department. The training course may be completed online, or Sergeant Younts may attend the training course in person. Sergeant Younts must submit a certificate of completion to Police Administration upon successful completion of the course. That's bullshit, but okay. In the event Sergeant Younts has already completed Cultural Diversity Course 3939, he will be required to complete a Workplace Harassment Prevention Training course recommended by City of Duncanville Human Resource Director Todd Sigel or his designee. The Workplace Harassment Prevention Training course may be completed online, or Sergeant Younts may attend the training course in person. Sergeant Younts must submit a certificate of completion to Police Administration upon successful completion of the training course. More specifically, it was discovered that you created the on-call schedule indicating Officer Dutton would be on call for the date range of December 30th, 2018 through January 2nd, 2019. However, you did not ensure Officer Dutton was aware of her duty to be on call and knew she would be out of town during the time in which she was scheduled for on-call. You also approved vacation for Officer Dutton to be out of town the day prior to her scheduled on-call period. Per Duncanville Police Department Regulation 4.01, you were given an option of choosing your chain of command or disciplinary review board to make the disciplinary recommendation in this matter. You elected to have your chain of command make the disciplinary recommendation. Your chain of command included Lieutenant Chris McCaleb and Assistant Chief of Police Mark Livigny. Your chain of command disciplinary recommendations were not unanimous. Lieutenant McCaleb recommended a written reprimand, and Assistant Chief Livigny recommended a written reprimand and an attendance in the next City of Duncanville Leadership Training course. After reviewing the recommendations of your chain of command, I had a personal meeting with you on March 6, 2019. The purpose of the meeting was for you to explain any extenuating circumstances surrounding the allegations made against you. During our meeting, you acknowledged that you knew Officer Dutton was going to be out of town on December 29, 2018. December 29, 2018. You also acknowledged that you did not inform her of the on-call day of December 30, 2018, as you had done for other subordinates. Furthermore, the Internal Affairs Investigation concluded that you approved vacation for Officer Dutton to be out of town the day prior to her scheduled on-call day. Finally, a text message exchanged between you and Officer Dutton stated, quote-unquote, I understand it's partially my fault for not switching the on-call, but my view on it is we're all adults and have to remember to check stuff like that, and I shouldn't need to keep watch over simple stuff like that, especially when time is short notice and it's known on short notice you have to respond or have it covered by someone. In deciding the appropriate disciplinary action, I covered numerous factors, including but not limited to your disciplinary history, prior similar policy violations, your honesty, possible harm to the Duncanville Police Department's reputation, prior disciplinary action issued to other members of the Duncanville Police Department for similar policy violations, and the disciplinary recommendations from your chain of command. After considering all the facts, I find that the only appropriate disciplinary action is a written reprimand and attendance in the next scheduled City of Duncanville leadership training course. Supervisory personnel must issue clear, concise, and definite orders to their subordinates. Vague and ambiguous and ill-defined orders and commands that cannot be executed are confusing to subordinates and prejudicial to the efficiency, good order, and the morale of the department. I therefore want you to caution that if you are involved in any of those sustained complaints resulting from similar circumstances, the disciplinary action may be more severe. Yeah, right. This guy has been written up and suspended over and over and over. Nothing ever happens to this guy. Written reprimands are not appealable under Chapter 143 of the Texas Local Government Code. Please consider this matter closed. Yet, here we have another suspension, May 8th, 2019. Pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 143 of the Texas Local Government Code, Section 143.052, I have temporarily suspended Sergeant Dirk Younts, badge number 185, from duty as police officer sergeant of the City of Duncanville for a period of 1 day. Shocking again. The temporary suspension is effective on May 10th, 2019. I took this action because Sergeant Younts violated Section 4.1, subsection L of the City of Duncanville Civil Service Rules and Regulations, again, which sets forth the grounds for disciplinary suspensions of employees in the classified service and states. Section 16, grounds for removal or suspension. The following are declared to be grounds for removal or suspension of an employee from the classified service by the City of Duncanville. Subsection L, violation of any of these rules and regulations, standard operating procedures, and or administrative directives of the fire department and police department or of special orders as applicable or the ordinances of the City of Duncanville. All right, written reprimand again. An internal affairs investigation was initiated after determining that the Midlothian Police Department responded to your home on July 2nd, 2022. During that call, you advised responding Midlothian police officers that your estranged wife attempted to strangle you in your home on May 14, 2022. You reported neither incident to your supervisor as required by Duncanville Police Department General Order 2.05, Notification of Supervisors. This matter was investigated by Internal Affairs Investigator Sergeant Christopher Frias. The findings of this Internal Affairs investigation resulted in one sustained classification. Sustained means that the allegation is supported by sufficient evidence. The sustained part of the investigation had to do with not reporting the incident that took place at your residence on May 14, 2022. Per Duncanville Police Department Regulation 4.01, you were given an option of choosing your chain of command or disciplinary review board to make the disciplinary recommendation in this matter. You elected to have a disciplinary review board make the disciplinary recommendation. Assistant Chief Stogner selected Sergeant Nathan Roach to chair the board. Sergeant Roach selected Sergeant Adrian Tijerina and Detective Chad Berger as recommending board members. Officer Darius Williams was also present to guide any questions regarding process, but was not a recommending board member. The disciplinary review board met regarding this matter on September 6, 2022. After reviewing the evidence, the board recommended you receive a verbal reprimand for counseling and that Duncanville Police Department General Order 2.05 be amended to remove any ambiguity and clarify the department's expectations relative to the order. After reviewing the recommendations of the disciplinary review board, I had a personal meeting with you on September 9, 2022. The purpose of the meeting was for you to explain anything further you felt was pertinent surrounding the sustained complaint and allegations made against you. During our meeting, you indicated that you spoke with Sergeant McCarty on July 4th. Neither of you felt a notification to your supervisor or the department was required relative to the July 2nd incident at your home. You also confirmed that during the Midlothian police response to your home on July 2nd, 2022, you reported an incident in mid-May in which you alleged your estranged wife attempted to strangle you. Finally, I advised you of the recommendation of the Disciplinary Review Board and panel for this matter. In deciding the appropriate disciplinary action, I consider numerous factors, including but not limited to your tenure, your rank, your prior disciplinary history, prior similar policy violations, your honesty, possible harm to the Duncanville Police Department's reputation, prior disciplinary action issued to other members of the Duncanville Police Department for similar policy violations, and the disciplinary recommendations from the Disciplinary Review Board. After considering all the facts, I find that the only appropriate disciplinary action is a written reprimand. Duncanville Police General Order 2.05 is purposely broad because every circumstance cannot be contemplated when an employee should notify their supervisor of a matter in which the department would logically be concerned. You initially reported an incident to the responding Midlothian police officers having occurred on May 14, 2022, during the response to your home on July 2nd, 2022. At that time, you alleged your wife attempted to strangle you on May 14, 2022 at your home in Midlothian. You advised that this occurred after you found information on her phone which led you to believe your wife was having an extramarital affair. As a police sergeant and as someone who has likely responded to or supervised other officers' responses to hundreds of domestic violence calls for service, you failed to immediately report this incident to the agency with jurisdiction or to the department, given that 1. Police officers often respond to domestic violence calls in which it is difficult to determine which party is the victim or the suspect. 2. You failed to report the incident for 6 weeks to the law enforcement agency with jurisdiction or to your supervisor. And 3, the fact that a domestic violence conviction places a law enforcement officer's job in jeopardy. The May 14th incident is clearly an incident which the department would have logically been concerned. I want to caution you that if you are involved in any other sustained complaint resulting from similar circumstances, the disciplinary action may be more severe. Written reprimands are not appealable under 143 chapter of the Texas Local Government Code. Please consider this matter closed. Here we go. Another suspension, May 22nd, 2024. This is going to be from the Texas Gal audits video that you're seeing here. This is why he got suspended. Pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 143 of the Texas Local Government Code, Section 143.052, I have temporarily suspended for a reasonable period Police Sergeant Dirk Younts, badge number 185, from duty as a police officer as the city of Duncanville for a period of 2 days. The temporary suspension is effective on Thursday, June 6, 2024, and Wednesday, June 19, 2024, for 2 8-hour days. In other words, he gets a vacation. I recommend this action because Sergeant Younts violated Section 4.1, subsections D, E, and L of the City of Duncanville Civil Service Rules and Regulations, which sets forth the ground for disciplinary suspensions or of employees in the classified service. Factual resume from Internal Affairs. On February 29, 2024, at approximately 4:10 p.m., Sergeant Younts responded to a call for service at the Duncanville Post Office located at 711 South Cedar Ridge Drive regarding a verbal disturbance involving a female. Dispatch advised that the reporting party stated there was a female inside the post office recording people who were shouting out loud and harassing customers inside the business. Sergeant Younts arrived on scene and spoke with the female in question, Zoe Prince, who was recording. Sergeant Younts asked the female to step out of the postal area in the lobby, but she refused. The female said she was allowed to record and was not going anywhere because of her immunity. Sergeant Younts then heard another officer on the radio call out something that was inaudible over the radio. Sergeant Younts stood by and listened to the radio traffic to ensure the officer was all right. After confirming the officer was good, Sergeant Younts returned to speaking with the female. Sergeant Younts asked the supervisor behind the counter if they wanted her to conduct business inside or if they wanted her to leave. The male stated they were not going to conduct business with the female and wanted her to leave. Now that was bullshit and a lie because it never happened. The female said she was not leaving, that the Sergeant Younts was not going to make her. Sergeant Younts stood by until Officer Rollins arrived on the scene and then placed the female into custody for refusing to leave after she was given notice to vacate the premises from the employee inside, which did not have authorization to do so. Sergeant Younts also spoke with the postmaster on site, who confirmed they did not want her conducting business inside and after the appropriate criminally trespass warning be removed or vacated the premises. Now, you would catch that on his body camera, but again, he failed to turn it on when he went in there. So this is one of the reasons for the suspension. During the course of Sergeant Tiarana's investigation interview with Postmaster Tracy Bryce, she told him that Sergeant Younts entered her office to confirm that their intentions were to proceed with criminal trespass against the complainant. Sergeant Younts' body camera was attached to his body armor, and he failed to reactivate it when entering the location for further investigation by interviewing Postmaster Tracy Bryce. However, the interview was captured on Officer Rollins' body-worn camera. Sergeant Younts thus never reactivated and maintained activation through the incident in question. Sergeant Younts, however, did not verbally or in writing provide either his name or his badge number upon the complaint's request and was otherwise discourteous. The alleged offense of criminal trespass occurred on February 29, 2024. From February 29, 2024 through the date of this charge letter, Younts failed to undertake his supervisory duty by not completing or caused to be completed a criminal trespass field warning. In addition, Younts' supervisor failed to obtain or cause to be obtained a written statement or follow-up interviews from any persons or witnesses at the scene that could provide significant details about the alleged criminal incident. Violated provisions. In failing to provide your name and badge number to a citizen, the following Duncanville Rules Civil Services Departmental Rules and Regulations Sergeant Younts has violated are as follows. Section 4.1, grounds for removal or suspension. The following are declared to be grounds for removal or suspension of an employee from the classified service of the City of Duncanville. A, it gets blank there. D, neglect of duty. E, discourtesy to the public or to a fellow employee while in the line of duty. L, violations of the rules and regulations, standing operating procedures, SOGs, and or administrative directives of the fire department and the police department or of special orders as applicable or the ordinances of the City of Duncanville. By his conduct as detailed below, Sergeant Younts has also violated certain sections of the Police Department Code of Conduct and Regulations. Sergeant Younts has received a 2-day suspension. Now, employees shall promptly submit reports that are required by the performance of the duties or by competent authority. Any required report shall be completed before the end of that tour of duty. Procedures. After reviewing the completed investigation, I concur with the sustained allegations and violations of civil service rules and Duncanville Police Department policy, rules, and regulations outlined herein against Sergeant Younts. I directed Assistant Chief of Police Chris Freeze to meet with Sergeant Younts to determine whether he would select his chain of command or disciplinary review board to recommend discipline in this matter. On April 11, 2024, Sergeant Younts elected to have a DRB, Disciplinary Review Board, to make the disciplinary recommendation in this sustained investigation. Assistant Chief of Police Frias directed Lieutenant Chris McCaleb to act as the chairperson for this DRB. Lieutenant McCaleb selected 2 additional members, Sergeant McCarty and Detective Berger, to sit on the DRB as stated in Duncanville Police Department Regulation 4.01. On April 16, 2024, the DRB met, reviewed, and discussed the investigation. The DRB recommended a verbal warning for failing to properly identify himself when requested by Ms. Prince. The DRB recommended a written reprimand for a violation not related to initial complaint for not activating his body-worn camera when meeting with the postmaster. On the second violation not related to the initial complaint for failure to promptly submit reports that are required by the performance of their duties or by competent authority, any required report shall be completed before the end of the tour of that duty. As the date of their memo, April 18, 2024, the criminal trespass warning field identification card has not been completed. The DRB unanimously recommended a 3-day suspension. The DRB further explained in their memo that Sergeant Younts has 2 previous sustained violations for failure to supervise, of which he received a written reprimand for each of those 2 violations. Furthermore, the DRB advised that based on progressive discipline, one of the 2 previous sustained violations should have been a 1-day suspension, and after discussing the incidents further, they concluded with the 3-day suspension. After reviewing the recommendation of the DRB, I had a personal meeting with Sergeant Younts on Friday, May 3rd, 2024 at approximately 8:15 a.m. before deciding what discipline, if any, to administer in this matter. The purpose of the meeting was for Sergeant Younts to explain any extenuating circumstances surrounding the allegations made against him. Sergeant Younts said he should have returned and checked or caused the same to be completed to ensure the field interview card was completed for the criminal trespass. I advised Sergeant Younts that the DRB recommended a 3-day suspension. Sergeant Younts asked if the DRB, based on their recommendation on the sustained policy violation of not providing his name and badge number and the sustained failure to complete the field interview card for criminal trespass. I advised him that he was correct. Sergeant Younts then mentioned there was a debate as to whether the department inputs the criminal trespass warning when an arrest is made. Sergeant Younts was informed that he failed to reactivate his body-worn camera and did not record the interview of the postmaster regarding the criminal trespass. Discipline decision. In deciding the appropriate disciplinary action, I considered numerous factors. Here we go again with the lies, including but not limited to Sergeant Younts' prior disciplinary history and tenure with the Duncanville Police Department, the nature and severity of the complaints, whether Sergeant Younts had any prior complaints alleging sustained violations, supervisory responsibilities, and the recommendation of his chain of command or DRB. Additionally, I factored the time between disciplinary action and mitigated the 3-day suspension by 1 day to a 2-day suspension. I also considered Sergeant Younts' honesty and acceptance of responsibility during the non-adversarial meeting. After considering all the facts, I find the appropriate disciplinary action is a 2-day temporary suspension without pay. That concludes Sergeant Younts' disciplinary record and the video with Texas Gal audits. I do have a little surprise for you after this picture of the angry Sergeant Younts.
Crime, Cindy.
But wait! There's more! Hang on to your seat, baby! Cause this one's a screamer! I'll be back. Uh-oh.
Now, this is the report that came from Midlothian Police Department. This is one of the reasons that Sergeant Younts got written up for not reporting this to his supervisors. So let's get into it. On July 2nd, 2022, at 1546, I, Officer Getty, badge number 239, and Corporal Ship responded to blank address because I went ahead and took it out. I didn't think I should dox the officer or his wife. Midlothian, Ellis County, Texas, in reference to a report of a domestic disturbance. Dispatch advised that RP was getting a divorce and her husband was intoxicated. Corporal Ship and I are working as a 2-man unit for training. Upon arrival, Corporal Ship and I walked around the home on the north side, noticing the garage was open. Observing the garage being open, the door inside the garage was opened as well. There was a white female, Diana Younts, driver's license numbers redacted, and her mother moving items out of the home. Entering in the residence, I observed several cups on the ground and a few were shattered glass. Dirk Younts, white male, driver's license also redacted, was standing in the living room of the residence, advising Corporal Ship and I that he was the homeowner and wanted Diana's mother out of the home. Dirk advised his wife and him are going through a divorce and that he works for Duncanville Police Department. Him and his wife had been moving things out of the home the day before and were only supposed to be taking personal belonging items. All the bigger items such as furniture were supposed to stay in the house until court. Dirk advised he arrived at the residence today to check upon the house and she was moving other items. Dirk advised that Diana attacked him on May 15, 22. He said he was strangled by Diana and there was proof on his phone, but it was deleted. Yeah, right. That's why you always film the cops and your estranged wife. The videos were also on his daughter Presley's iPad that was connected to Dirk's phone. These videos were deleted off the iPad as well because of him not wanting his daughter to see that event that happened. BS. That is bullshit. He's covering up evidence like he does everything else. Dirk wanted to report the attack. Corporal Ship asked Dirk if he would be willing to give a supplement and a written statement. Dirk agreed to doing so. Dirk advised that his wife had an affair with one of his fellow officers at the Duncanville Police Department. I'm wondering who that officer was. Diana also had an affair with the neighbor across the street. Gee, wonder why. Dirk advised on 5/14/22 he was coming home from a Ranger game late at night, probably drunk by the way, and his wife was at the Oasis bar in Midlothian. Diana and him were supposed to meet up back at the house. Diana came home a little later throughout the night on 5/15/22. He noticed that she was drunk and passed out outside on the driveway. He then grabbed her phone and went through it, finding texts and emails. Wow, that's the cardinal rule of what not to do to your wife, is go through her phone. He noticed that she was talking to other men on her phone. Ooh, sounds like trouble in paradise to me, guys. Dirk advised he confronted Diana about it, and she tried to retrieve her phone back. Diana then went to her daughter Presley's room. He went to confront her again about the men she was talking to. He then sat on Presley's bed, and Diana hopped on top of him, strangling him with both hands for approximately 10 seconds. In Dirk's statement, he quoted, quote unquote, while laying on my bed, but he explained he was on their daughter Presley's bed. Dirk advised while he was being strangled, he was unable to breathe. I completed a domestic violence supplement packet with Dirk and received a victim statement from him as well. Dirk was also given a victim rights pamphlet. Diana wanted to give a witness statement as well, but could not write it at the moment. A report has been made for a family violence assault, Texas Penal Code 22.01, against Diana Younts, 22 MP 035219. My body-worn camera and Corporal Schiff's body-worn camera were recording during this incident, as was in the car camera of Unit 1906. Detective Aaron Bluss was assigned to this case on 7/05/22. So this is what Detective Bluss had to say. Detective Bluss reviewed this case and body cam footage and found that the initial call was placed by Diana Younts. Diana claimed that Dirk Younts, her husband, was at the location, intoxicated and dumping out boxes. Detective Bluss observed the body cam footage that they don't have anymore because they purged everything, and found that Dirk Younts was agitated while officers were there and wanted Diana's mother out of the house. Dirk continued to repeat that he wanted her gone and that Diana was not supposed to be there taking items. Detective Bluss had already found that the previous day he had called officers to do the home, and he was removing items from the home as well and wanted civil standby to remove property in case his wife came home and caused issues. When Corporal Schiff advised him during the current call that he could not make Diana's mother leave and that Diana had a right to be there and whoever she wanted there, Dirk advised that he wanted to make a report of assault that occurred on May 15th because Diana strangled him. Dirk advised that this is a third-degree felony family violence. Corporal Schiff advised that they could take the report for him at the time. Dirk advised that he wanted to report that she strangled him to where he could not breathe around his neck. Dirk then said that he wanted to go get both his Diana and her mother out of there. Dirk advised that he came over after a golf tournament and saw that she was moving stuff, and Diana told him it was a civil matter. Dirk advised that he wanted to file a report to say and get his mother-in-law out of there. Officers then completed this report with him. On July 11/22, Detective Bluss spoke with Diana by phone. Diana advised that Dirk came into the house on 7/2/22 and was turning over every box in the house. Diana advised that he was intoxicated when he came over. Diana advised that she called the police and she believes that he only said something about an assault and that it was a quote-unquote retaliatory report. Diana advised that it was completely false. Diana advised that they did have an argument and she knows what night he is referring to, but that she did not strangle him at any point. Detective Bluss then spoke with Officer Getty and Corporal Schiff. Officer Getty advised that Dirk was intoxicated while they were there and he swayed while they were talking to him, along with his eyes being glassy. Corporal Schiff advised that he could smell the alcohol coming from him, as well as him swaying while they talked and his eyes were glassy. Corporal Schiff advised that at one point he made a statement about wanting them there as if he called, but Diana was the one who had called. So what he's trying to say is basically He's trying to turn it all around on her to keep his job, which means that every time he's been written up, he's lied or conspired and turned off his body cam. He is a lying, corrupt cop. He's a criminal cop. That's what he is. Corporal Shipp advised that he did tell Dirk that if he left that he needed to get a ride and not drive anywhere due to him being intoxicated. In other words, drunk. Off his ass. This was after it was known he drove from a golf tournament to this location. Well, he should have gotten a DUI. He's a dirty, dirty, dirty cop. Dirty Dirk. Dirty Dirk. That's his new name. On July 12, 2022, Detective Bluss spoke with Dirk, who advised that he was able to recover the digital media from his phone and he would bring it to the PD on July 13th, 22. On July 13th, 2022, Detective Bluss met with Dirk, who provided a USB. Dirk advised that he took his phone to his criminal investigation division, and they were able to download the videos from it. On July 14th, Detective Bluss reviewed the video that was provided by Dirk and found that there were 3 videos that were labeled IMG 5629.movie, IMG 5631.movie, and IMG 5632 movie. The metadata on the video show that this was 5:15 of 22 at 5:54 a.m., 5:57 a.m., and 6:07 a.m. Dirk had taken the phone from Diana and she wanted it back in video labeled IMG 5629.movie. Dirk has told Diana that she was asleep, drunk, in the grass, and that he will not give her back the phone because it is, quote-unquote, our phone. In video IMG 5631.movie, Dirk and Diana are on the bed in their daughter's bedroom, and Diana is still trying to get her phone and telling Dirk to give her the phone. Dirk is telling Diana to get off repeatedly. It cannot be seen as to what is going on during most of it. There is one portion where Dirk is on his stomach and Diana is on his back trying to get her phone, and her arm is around his shoulder and somewhat around his neck, but he is still recording at this point and holding the phone away from her. Diana does say to him several times that he is preventing her from calling anyone. Dirk tells her to drive somewhere at this point and call the police, after he has already told her in the first video that she was drunk and asleep in the driveway. Dirk does eventually give her her phone. Detective Bluss did not find any calls to police from Diana or Dirk on this date of May 15, 22. In video IMG 5632.movie, Dirk and Diana are in what appears to be the master bedroom, and Diana is partially naked. Dirk is still recording her and talking about things are 50-50. They are talking about her talking to someone else and attorneys. Dirk tells Diana that she can't even stand up and she was passed out in the grass. Due to the information provided by Dirk in the videos, there is no clear evidence to support the charge for assault, impede breath. Therefore, Dirk will be referred to city court. On July 15, 22, Detective Bluss spoke with Dirk and advised him that if he wishes to pursue charges, he could go to city court for Diana to grab him for her phone, and that the charge will be changed to an assault class C misdemeanor. On 7/15/2022, Detective Bluss contacted Diana to give her the information as well, and that she referred to Dirk to city court. The USB drive will be booked into evidence. This case will be cleared by exception. CBE Detective E. Bluss 193.